Okay, so let's dive into this. In the world's largest democracy, a couple of new rules are popping up that are really getting people to talk about freedom of expression. We're going to look at two specific directives in India that, according to the analysis we're drawing from, might be quieting dissent from the inside out. Let's break down exactly what's going on.
So think about this for a second. Could you get in trouble at work for a message you send privately? I mean, this very question is right at the heart of a new rule for government employees in one Indian state. So that's where we're going to start. It really makes you wonder where that line is between your personal life and your job. All right, first up, we're heading to the state of Maharashtra. A recent directive there is aimed squarely at the people who, make the government run day to day. It's public servants. And what's really striking here is just how broad these rules are. I mean, this isn't just about writing a critical blog post. We're talking about a ban that covers everything, even just forwarding a message on a private app. And it applies to pretty much everyone, from permanent staff to contract workers. Any violation could lead to disciplinary action. Now, as you can probably guess, the source material points out there was some immediate pushback. Critics, like Member of Parliament Pratibha Dhanorkar, they did not hold back. They called the circular draconian and flat out demanded it be withdrawn. Okay, so that's one state. But at almost the exact same time, something else was happening in another state, Madhya Pradesh. They brought in their own set of restrictions, but this time in a totally different arena, the state legislature itself. This directive basically creates a protest-free zone right on the legislative grounds, and it covers the whole shebang, from shouting slogans to using symbolic props. Even talking to the media within the assembly premises is now off-limits for elected representatives. You can imagine the opposition was not having it. They were quick to call the move authoritarian, saying it's a direct attack on the democratic rights of elected officials. And these specifically pointed to constitutional protections under Article 194, which are there to make sure there is freedom of speech inside the legislature. So you've got these two things happening, a rule for government workers over here and a rule for politicians over there. You might think, okay, two totally separate issues, right? Well, the analysis we're looking at says, not so fast. It argues these aren't just isolated events, but maybe two pieces of a much bigger puzzle. The big idea here from our source is that it doesn't matter if it's happening online with a forwarded message or in the halls of power with a protest sign. The argument is that the end goal is the same, to quiet criticism in the very places where government accountability is supposed to be happening. And this slide, well, it just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? It shows the two fronts that the source identifies. On one side, you have the administrative part of the government, the public servants, being told what they can't say online. And on the other, you have the legislative side, the elected reps, being told how they can't protest in person. So this brings us to the really big question that the source material raises. When you put these two things together, what are the wider implications for how a democracy actually works? The source kind of lays out a potential domino effect. Step 1, you quiet the public servants, the folks who are actually on the front lines carrying out policy. Step 2, you limit how the elected opposition can protest and challenge those policies. The result? The whole system of checks and balances, which is just so vital for a healthy democracy, could start to get weaker. And that right there, that gets to the heart of what accountable governance is all about. It depends on having open channels for criticism and feedback. According to this analysis, when you start narrowing or closing off those channels, that core idea that officials have to answer to the public is put at risk. This entire argument kind of boils down to one pretty powerful idea captured in this quote. The suggestion here is that limiting speech and protest isn't just some procedural thing. It could be an existential threat to a system that really needs open debate to survive. So in the end, that's the fundamental question we're left with after looking at the developments in Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. Where do you draw that line? It's a constant balancing act in any democracy, and these new rules have really brought that debate right back into the spotlight.